Lyra Bellamy had never been afraid of cameras, but this year was different. At her daughter's holiday gathering, someone snapped a photo while she was laughing near the tree, and when Lyra saw it later that night, her breath caught. The warm yellow bulbs washed downward, casting a soft glow across her chest and midsection that made her look wider than she actually was. It felt unfair, like the lighting told a story her body didn't. What startled her most wasn't the image itself, but the realization that she looked nothing like she felt inside. Many women over 60 know this exact sting, that moment when a photo taken under the wrong holiday lights makes you question your confidence. If you've ever avoided a Christmas picture for this reason, hit like, subscribe, and tap that hype button so more women our age can finally hear the truth behind these illusions. Because what happened to Lyra wasn't about weight at all, the real culprit was the lighting. Warm holiday bulbs create downward shadows that add 8 to 12 visual pounds, especially on mature faces and soft midsections. And once Lyra learned that, she understood she wasn't the problem. "My body didn't change," she whispered to herself the next morning, standing by the window. "The holidays did." Between the tree lights, the candles, the shiny decor, and phones held just a little too low, the season itself can widen a woman in every picture. Has something like this happened to you too? Comment yes so Lyra knows she's not alone. Because what she discovered next fixed almost 70% of the issue, and it had nothing to do with dieting, age, or trying to squeeze into anything uncomfortable. Hack number 1 was a gentle shift no stylist ever teaches seniors, and it changed the way she appeared in photos instantly. Hack 1. The Tree-Light Neckline Lift. Lyra didn't expect a simple shift in holiday lighting to change the way she saw herself, but the discovery happened so naturally it almost felt like the season itself was teaching her something. She had leaned in toward the upper branches of the Christmas tree, adjusting an ornament that had turned slightly to the side. As she straightened it, her eyes caught her reflection in the window. For a moment she paused, confused. She looked different. Not younger exactly, but clearer, lifted, more like the woman she still felt inside. The warm bulbs from the tree weren't spilling downward across her chest the way they usually did. Instead, the glow had risen just high enough to highlight her cheekbones, soften her eyes, and trace a warm outline along her jaw. That gentle upper face illumination made her neck look naturally elongated, almost as if she had adjusted her posture even though she hadn't moved at all. Women over 60 often battle with harsh or downward holiday lighting. When bulbs shine too low, the glow lands on areas that tend to reflect more light, like the chest, upper arms, or midsection, creating shadows that exaggerate width. But when the brightest part of the light sits at or slightly above the face, the entire silhouette lifts without effort. It's not a pose. It's not a trick you have to hold. It's simply letting the light land where it flatters you most. Lyra experimented gently. She took one small step backward and watched how the glow moved upward across her features. Suddenly her eyes looked brighter, the natural softness around her jaw seemed smoother, and the neckline of her blouse looked more refined. She turned slightly to her left and noticed how even a small angle helped the lights wrap around her face instead of her torso. Each adjustment gave her a bit more control over how she appeared, something she hadn't felt in years when it came to holiday pictures. This trick works beautifully with any festive setup: tree lights, garland lights, mantle lighting, doorway decor, or string lights along the wall. The goal is simple: stand where the bulbs are level with your eyes or higher. If the lights are too low, take a gentle step back, raise your chin slightly, or angle your body so the glow brushes your cheekbones first. It's comfortable, natural, and perfect for seniors who want to look their best without forcing stiff poses. Once Lyra realized how much lighter and more confident she appeared with this one tiny shift, she promised herself she'd never stand directly under low holiday lights again. The season didn't change her face, she simply let the light highlight the beauty she already had. Hack 2. The Velvet Shadow Rule. Lyra's next discovery came when she was getting dressed for her neighborhood holiday potluck. She had laid out 3 tops on her bed: a deep red satin blouse, a soft silver sequin top, and a simple velvet front tunic she had almost forgotten she owned. Out of habit, she reached for the satin first. It shimmered beautifully in her hands, but the moment she slipped it on, the fabric clung to her midsection in a way that didn't feel flattering. Satin has a tendency to catch every bit of light in the room, and under holiday bulbs, that shine travels straight across the belly and hips, making even the smallest curves look more prominent. She tried the sequin top next, hoping the sparkle would add festive charm. Instead, the reflective texture scattered the light across her arms and torso like tiny mirrors. Each movement exaggerated her shape, making areas she preferred to soften appear more noticeable. Liora sighed, realizing that the fabric she once loved now behaved differently as her body changed with age. It wasn't about weight, it was about how holiday materials played with light. Then she picked up the velvet tunic. It was a deep forest green, soft to the touch, with a gentle matte finish that felt luxurious without being loud. When she slid it over her shoulders and looked in the mirror, her eyes widened. Velvet didn't bounce the light the way satin and sequins did. It absorbed it, creating a natural shadowing effect that visually reduced her midsection, softened the outline of her hips, and gave her arms a more refined shape. The difference was immediate and almost unbelievable. For women over 60, especially during the holidays, matte fabrics like velvet are incredibly forgiving. They smooth without clinging, they flatter without drawing attention to areas you want to keep subtle, and they create a gentle shadow that slims the entire torso. Liora turned side to side, watching how the velvet draped over her body in a calm, steady line instead of shining or widening with every movement. It felt elegant, comfortable, and surprisingly modern. To use this trick, choose velvet or other matte textures on the midsection, hips, or upper arms, any area where holiday lighting tends to add visual width. Save the shimmer for accessories or neckline accents where light is more flattering. Once Liora saw how beautifully velvet reshaped her silhouette, she knew it would be her go-to fabric for every festive night ahead. Hack 3. The Ornament Cascade. Liora had always loved jewelry, especially during the holidays, when every piece seemed to sparkle a little brighter. But as she dressed for a small evening gathering, she noticed something she had never paid close attention to before. She placed a short, chunky beaded necklace around her neck, one she had worn for years, and immediately sensed something felt off. The necklace sat high on her chest, creating a horizontal break that made her upper torso look broader. The more she looked at it, the more she realized it was drawing the eye outward, not downward, which added visual width she didn't want. She removed it and reached into her jewelry box for a piece she hadn't worn in a long time. A cascading silver necklace her late husband had gifted her for their 25th anniversary. It had a long, gentle drop that flowed past her collarbone, ending just above her midsection. When she fastened it and looked in the mirror, the change was almost instant. The long vertical line created by the necklace pulled the eye straight downward, elongating her neckline, narrowing her shoulders, and giving her entire upper body a graceful, flowing shape. For women over 60, especially during the festive season, jewelry can make or break an outfit. Short, bold pieces tend to cluster around the chest, which can visually widen the upper body. But long, soft drop pieces create a vertical path the eye naturally follows. This subtle shift makes the torso look slimmer without drawing attention to the midsection. It's gentle, flattering, and incredibly easy to incorporate. Liora adjusted the cascading pendant slightly so it rested comfortably without swinging too much. The silver strands caught the light in a delicate way, adding sparkle without overwhelming her figure. She noticed how the necklace created a sense of movement, almost like holiday ornaments falling in a graceful line. It didn't just accessorize her outfit, it shaped it. To recreate this effect, choose necklaces that fall below the bust, preferably in a single vertical drop or soft layered cascade. Avoid pieces that sit high on the chest or spread outward. Let the jewelry guide the eye down the body, not across it. Seeing how the delicate silver necklace transformed her silhouette, Liora felt a warm mix of pride and nostalgia. It wasn't just a beautiful accessory, it was a loving memory that helped her shine in a way that felt deeply her own. Hack 4. The Wrap Gift Waist Tie. Liora had always loved the ritual of getting dressed for holiday gatherings, but one thing she had quietly struggled with over the years was how clothing fit around her waist. Like many women in their 60s and 70s, her midsection had softened with time, and the natural waistline she once relied on wasn't as defined as it used to be. Traditional belts only dug into her sides or created a sharp line that made her midsection appear fuller, especially under festive lighting. Even holiday dresses with built-in waistbands seemed to highlight the exact area she wished would stay subtle. One afternoon, while wrapping presents for her grandchildren, she unintentionally found the solution. As she tied a soft ribbon around a gift, she noticed how slightly lifting the bow, just an inch higher, created a more pleasing shape. That tiny shift sparked a thought. What if her clothes could do the same for her body? Later that evening, she tried it out using a lightweight velvet tie that came with a cardigan she rarely wore. Instead of placing it at her natural waist, she tied it just 1 inch above. The change was immediate and surprisingly elegant. Raising the tie gently lifted the fabric, giving her torso a longer, more graceful line while subtly suggesting a waist without squeezing anything. Clothing designers rarely mention this, but for senior bodies, the true waist often sits higher visually than anatomically. Gravity, posture shifts, and softening curves all influence how the eye perceives the middle of the body. A soft, flexible tie set just an inch higher restores that youthful shape in a natural, comfortable way. It creates the illusion of lift without pressure, something rigid belts can never achieve. Liora experimented with the placement in front of her mirror, adjusting the tie slightly looser, then a bit tighter, until she found the perfect balance, secure enough to shape but relaxed enough to move with her. The fabric draped from that elevated point in a smooth vertical line, slimming her midsection beautifully. She turned side to side, amazed at how gentle and flattering the effect was. This trick works wonderfully with holiday cardigans, tunics, wrap tops, or dresses that include a belt or tie. If there's no tie, a soft scarf or thin sash can serve the same purpose. The key is softness, no stiff materials, no tight knots. When Liora stepped back and saw her reflection with the tie placed just above her natural waist, she felt uplifted in more ways than one. It didn't just reshape her silhouette, it returned a sense of ease and elegance she thought she'd left behind. Hack 5. The Candlelight Facelift. Liora had never paid much attention to how holiday dinners affected her appearance until she looked back at a collection of last year's photos. Every picture taken at the table made her look wider than she felt, and for a moment she wondered if she had changed more than she realized. But when she looked closer, she noticed a pattern. The lighting in all those photos sat low, right at torso height, casting shadows that naturally spread across her midsection. Low light has a way of widening whatever it touches, especially for women over 60 whose silhouettes are softer and more sensitive to shadow placement. This year, something unexpected shifted. While helping her daughter set the holiday table, she pulled a small candle closer to her side without thinking, just to see how it looked next to her plate. When she sat down, she caught her reflection in the window and froze. The glow wasn't hitting her chest anymore, it lifted upward, touching her cheekbones and illuminating her eyes. The soft light made her skin look smoother, her jawline more defined, and her entire upper face warm and alive. Curious, she leaned in slightly, and the effect became even clearer. By keeping a candle a bit closer to her face rather than letting all the light sit low on the table, she naturally redirected attention upward. Her torso settled into a gentle shadow, instantly slimming her silhouette without her moving a muscle. It felt effortless, almost like she had discovered her own personal lighting assistant. Throughout the evening, Liora adjusted the candle just a few inches toward her. Every time someone snapped a picture, she noticed the difference. No exaggerated shadows across her midsection, no glare on her shoulders, just a soft upward glow that highlighted her features beautifully. This trick works at any holiday dinner. Just bring the light slightly closer to your upper face. A candle, a small lamp, or even an LED tea light can do the job. When Liora saw how naturally elegant she looked with this subtle shift, she realized this wasn't a cosmetic trick at all. It was simply giving the light permission to flatter her the way she deserved. Hack 6. The Frosted Edge Cardigan. Liora had always loved holiday sweaters, the kind with embroidered snowflakes, cheerful reindeer, or festive sparkle. But as she grew older, she noticed that the thicker the sweater, the heavier her upper body appeared. The chunky knits sat across her shoulders like small blankets, adding volume where she wanted lightness. Even the softest ones made her feel swallowed, and under warm holiday lighting, every ridge and stitch seemed to add another inch. It wasn't her body causing the bulk, it was the structure of the garment itself. Seniors often feel this more sharply because softer shoulders and gentler posture make thick fabrics collapse in ways that widen the frame. This year, She decided to try something different. While shopping with a friend at a local boutique, she spotted a long cardigan made of lightweight knit with a delicate frosted trim running down the front edges. It wasn't sparkly in a loud way, just a soft shimmer, like frost on a winter window. She slipped it on out of curiosity, expecting it to behave like the sweaters she had given up on. But the mirror reflected something she hadn't seen in years, a softly elongated silhouette that made her look taller and noticeably slimmer. The magic was in the vertical edges. The frosted trim created two clean downward lines that naturally pulled the eye from her shoulders toward her knees, visually narrowing her torso. Because the cardigan hung open, it didn't compress her midsection or cling to her curves. Instead, it framed her body gracefully, creating a long, vertical column that felt elegant and easy. And unlike the heavy sweaters she used to struggle with, this cardigan didn't trap heat or add weight, perfect for women who want to stay comfortable without overheating during winter gatherings. Liora turned from side to side, watching how the lightweight fabric moved with her instead of bunching up. She felt covered yet free, festive yet refined. The frosted trim added just enough holiday charm without overwhelming her figure. It was the exact balance she had been searching for. To recreate this effect, look for long, open front cardigans with a narrow decorative trim, subtle sparkle, or metallic thread running vertically. Avoid thick knits that widen the shoulders or shorten the neck. Let the front edges hang naturally, allowing them to create slimming lines down the length of your body. When Liora wore her new cardigan to her family's holiday brunch, she didn't just feel dressed, she felt beautifully put together, without a trace of heaviness holding her back. Hack 7. The ornament sleeve crop. Liora never paid much attention to her sleeves, at least not until the night she wore a beautiful cranberry blouse with wide, flowing cuffs to her neighbor's holiday gathering. She adored the color and the soft shimmer, but when she saw a candid photo someone had taken of her by the dessert table, her heart sank a little. The sleeves looked enormous, almost balloon-like, adding width to her upper arms and making her entire torso appear broader. It wasn't the blouse itself, it was the way the sleeves fell. Mature arms often soften over time, and when loose fabric gathers around that area, it visually doubles the volume. A few days later, while getting ready for a holiday choir performance, she faced a similar blouse. This time, she hesitated. She lifted her arms and watched how the sleeves billowed and created a horizontal line right where she wanted softness, not emphasis. On instinct, she pinched the fabric at her wrist and scrunched it up a few inches until her wrists peeked through. When she looked in the mirror, she blinked in surprise. That small reveal completely changed the silhouette. Her wrists, the naturally narrow point of the arm, created a long, vertical taper that immediately slimmed her upper arms and even narrowed her torso. To test the effect, she tried lowering the sleeves again. Instantly, the volume returned. Then she scrunched them back up, letting the fabric bunch softly just below the forearm. The slimming effect came back just as quickly. It amazed her how revealing the slimmest part of the arm could reshape the entire upper body. It wasn't about hiding her arms. It was about guiding the eye toward the elegance she still carried. This hack works beautifully with holiday tops, cardigans, or lightweight sweaters, especially those with bell sleeves or wide cuffs. The goal isn't to push the sleeves up tightly but to let them rest softly above the wrist, creating a gentle, modern crop. The wrist becomes the visual anchor, allowing the arm to look elongated and refined. Liora noticed that with her sleeves slightly raised, she also moved more comfortably. Her bracelets and rings added a touch of sparkle at just the right height, drawing attention to her hands instead of her upper arms. By the time she arrived at her choir event, she felt lighter and more confident. The simple act of revealing her wrists not only slimmed her silhouette but reminded her that elegance isn't about age, it's about understanding how small details can elevate the beauty you already possess. Hack 8. The gift bag base layer. Liora had long accepted that traditional shapewear wasn't for her anymore. After 60, comfort and ease mattered far more than squeezing herself into something tight and unforgiving. Still, she faced the same problem every holiday season. Festive fabrics loved to cling. Satin, sequins, metallic knits, even the prettiest holiday tops seemed determined to highlight the soft curves around her midsection. She didn't want compression or control. She just wanted her clothes to drape smoothly so she could feel confident without adjusting her blouse all night. The idea for a solution came while she was preparing holiday gift bags for her grandchildren. As she tucked delicate items into the bags, she noticed how a thin layer of tissue paper kept everything in place. It wasn't firm and it didn't change shapes, it just prevented cling. That simple moment stayed with her. Later, while dressing for a holiday luncheon, she remembered a featherlight microfiber tank at the back of her drawer. It was silky, breathable, and so thin it felt more like a second skin than an undergarment. Most importantly, it wasn't made for shaping, just smoothing. Curious, she slipped it on beneath her festive top. The difference was immediate. The blouse that normally hugged her belly suddenly glided over her midsection in a soft, uninterrupted line. The cling disappeared entirely. Liora moved around, adjusting her earrings, sitting and standing as she got ready, and the fabric stayed smooth without grabbing or bunching in front. It wasn't changing her shape, it simply created a quiet barrier between her body and the outer layer, just like the tissue paper in the gift bags. For women over 60, this ultra-thin gift bag base layer is a gentle, senior-friendly alternative to any form of shapewear. It doesn't compress, pinch, or trap heat. Instead, it stops cling instantly, giving blouses and dresses the freedom to fall the way they were designed to, soft, elegant, and flattering. It works beautifully under holiday tops, tunics, dresses, and any festive fabric that tends to emphasize the midsection. When Liora saw her reflection before leaving, she felt a quiet, natural confidence. Her outfit looked smoother, cleaner, and effortlessly polished. And most importantly, she felt comfortable enough to enjoy the evening without a single tug or adjustment. Hack 9. The Holiday Hem Angle. Liora had never given much thought to the bottom edge of her tops. For decades, she bought holiday blouses based on color or sparkle, not realizing how much the hemline determined the shape of her entire lower body. That changed the day she tried on a cranberry tunic at a small boutique near her daughter's house. At first glance, it looked like any other festive top. Rich color, soft shimmer, a relaxed fit. But when she slipped it on and looked in the mirror, something surprising happened. Her hips looked narrower, her midsection appeared sleeker, and her whole silhouette felt more balanced. She took it off to inspect what made the difference. That's when she noticed the hem wasn't straight across. Instead, it fell in a gentle diagonal line, rising slightly at one side and drifting lower at the other. It wasn't dramatic, just a soft, angled drape that guided the eye downward instead of sideways. For women over 60, this is a powerful visual trick. Straight hems sit right at the widest part of the hips and stomach, unintentionally cutting the body in half and exaggerating width. But diagonal hems break that horizontal line. They create movement, softness, and a sense of length that immediately slims the lower body. Liora put the tunic back on, paying closer attention this time. When she turned sideways, the angled hem floated lightly, disguising the little curve of her belly in a way straight-cut tops never managed. When she faced forward, the longer side created a natural vertical pull, elongating her frame. The shorter side opened up her shape, giving it a flattering lift. She felt elegant without effort. No tugging, no adjusting, just a gentle drape doing all the work. This trick is especially helpful during the holidays, when heavier meals, festive treats, and long evenings of sitting can make the stomach feel more pronounced. A diagonal hem adapts to those changes gracefully. Unlike fitted tops, which reveal every shift, angled hems camouflage without covering. They move with the body, not against it. To recreate this slimming effect, look for tops, tunics, or sweaters with asymmetrical hems, handkerchief drapes, or soft diagonal cuts that dip slightly lower on one side. The angle doesn't need to be dramatic, just enough to break the horizontal line. Pairing these tops with straight leg or slim-cut pants enhances the lengthening effect even more. As Liora admired her reflection one last time before purchasing the tunic, she felt an unexpected wave of ease wash over her. The angled hem hadn't changed her shape, it had respected it. And in doing so, it revealed a slimmer, more confident version of herself she hadn't seen in years. Hack 10. The Mistletoe Pose. Liora had always felt a little uneasy when holiday photos started, especially group pictures. No matter how much she smiled, the camera always seemed to widen her shoulders or flatten her shape. Like many women over 60, she didn't want to twist herself into uncomfortable angles, but she also wanted to look like the confident woman she still felt inside. That changed one Christmas Eve when her niece, a photographer, pulled her aside and showed her a simple, gentle pose that seniors could hold easily. No strain, no awkward bending, no forced posture. "Turn just a little," her niece said, guiding Liora into a soft 15-degree angle. Not sideways, just off-center. Immediately her frame looked narrower. Then she helped Liora shift her weight onto her back leg. That tiny adjustment lifted her stance and created a natural, flattering line through her torso and hips. Liora felt steadier and slimmer at the same time. Next came the hands. Liora never knew where to place them, which often made her shrug her shoulders or fold her arms, both unflattering on camera. Her niece placed Liora's holiday drink gently at her midline, letting her hands rest around the glass. The placement wasn't meant to hide her belly. It simply gave her posture purpose and directed the camera's attention upward. Finally, her niece added the touch that gave the pose its charming name: "Bring your chin forward just a little, like you're leaning in for a mistletoe kiss." Liora laughed but tried it, extending her chin the tiniest bit. Suddenly, her jawline looked sharper, her neck looked longer, and the soft folds under her chin softened naturally. When she saw the photo, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: comfort in her own image. She didn't look posed or stiff. She looked like herself, but elevated. This mistletoe pose works beautifully for women over 60 because it's gentle, grounded, and flattering. A small body turn, softened back leg, hands centered around a drink or clutch, and a subtle chin extension. Together, these elements shape the body gracefully without needing tricks or stiffness. Liora used it all night, and for the first time in a long time, she welcomed the camera with confidence instead of hiding from it. Liora felt a different kind of excitement as she dressed for her family's candlelit Christmas evening. Not the kind that came from hoping she looked younger or slimmer, but from finally understanding how to let the holiday atmosphere work with her instead of against her. She wasn't hiding anything or squeezing into anything. She was simply applying gentle, senior-friendly tricks that honored her comfort and her confidence. As she walked into the warm glow of the living room, the soft lights touched her face just right, her cranberry tunic draped in a smooth diagonal line, and her long necklace added a graceful vertical drop that made her silhouette feel effortlessly refined. She didn't draw attention to herself. She didn't need to. Her presence felt calm, elegant, and naturally balanced. Later that evening, while she leaned near the tree helping her grandson hang an ornament, her granddaughter approached quietly. She tugged lightly on Liora's sleeve and whispered, "Grandma, you look so beautiful tonight." The words weren't about looking younger. They weren't about appearing thinner. They were about Liora looking like herself again, confident, warm, and fully present in the moment. It had been a long time since she felt seen without feeling judged by a photo or a reflection. That small whisper settled in her heart in a way no mirror ever could. As the night went on, she moved with an ease she hadn't felt in years. She didn't shy away when cameras came out. She didn't adjust her blouse or tug at her sleeves. She simply enjoyed her evening, knowing she had learned how to guide the eye toward the parts of herself she cherished most. And in that quiet confidence, something softened inside her, a reminder that beauty doesn't fade with age. It evolves into something deeper and more meaningful. Slimming, she realized, was never about shrinking herself. It was about understanding how light, lines, fabrics, and gentle choices could highlight the strength and grace time had given her. And if these holiday hacks helped her rediscover that confidence, they could help thousands of other women over 60 do the same. If these moments and tips gave you even a small spark of that same confidence, please tap like, hit the hype button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an Ageless style episode. Your support helps bring these uplifting, senior-focused messages to more women who deserve to feel beautiful, comfortable, and celebrated during every season of their lives.